that you are out busy shooting, and I hope that your self-directed projects are going well. So, some of you may have noticed yesterday that I included the final two Photoshop assignments. Um, but I just wanted to walk through everything with you guys to make sure that you guys know what is due, what's coming up, where things are at, and what is important. Um, so I'm going to take my edit mode off so I can see it as you guys see it because sometimes I miss stuff. Okay, so I have everything for the rest of the semester up on Blackboard. We've done our artist presentations. We've done our artist photo critique. Extra credit opportunity. A few of you have already done this, but there's no portal to submit your extra credit. Just email it to me, okay? Give that to me the next day or so. It's just a small recap of Ariel's lecture. But get that to me in the next day or so that I can add your points. And for the few of you who have already done so, I will have already added your points to Blackboard. Okay, so this is important. Before the end of the semester, you know, this is April 1st. In 20 days, this class ends. So here's some things that I want to make sure that you guys don't forget because I gave you a lot of things that were due at the end of the semester, and I know that a lot of you are probably kind of putting it off until later, but just to reiterate things, there's a 3-part final exam. Okay, I gave that to you several weeks ago. If you go, it's going to be down here, final exam, 3 parts. That's due the last day of class, April 21st, okay? So 3 parts, just to remind you, it doesn't matter what order you do the final exam in. One's question and answer, one's Photoshop, and one's analyzing photos, much like you guys did with the reverse engineering photos, knowing what a composition element of a photo is, what a technical element is. So those 3 are due April 21st, and you can find those here in the final exam portion. Your first round of 10 images for your self-directed project is due April 7th, 2:30, everyone's meeting, 2:30 p.m., those are due. And I just need to remind you guys that no one will get an A if they don't reshoot at least for your final. So I've never had a student who has completely done 10 images that are just completely perfect and they don't need to reshoot anything. Everyone will need to reshoot some images. So I will definitely be taking that into consideration. If you turn in the exact same images for your final as your midterm, I will grade accordingly, okay? So you need to have some images that are different. You need to make improvements on things based off of critique. So April 7th is our critique at 2:30 p.m. Everyone's meeting for every class period here on out. Okay. So everything with self-directed project is in here. Sequencing. I want to talk about sequencing because this is going to be really important in your both your midpoint check-in and your final check-in. I have here how you sequence photos. There's really no right, I mean, it's very subjective how you sequence photos. It can be, it just depends on what your project is. If you're doing a story, maybe you want to have groupings of things that are likewise in composition and color and shape. I typically tell students to do what's called like a bookend. Like start off your photo sequence with your strongest photo, end with your second strongest photo or your strongest photo. Have a really good kicker, powerful photo in the middle, and then you can kind of sprinkle in the rest of the photos in between. But you need something that's going to hook us into your project. If your first photo is your weakest photo, you haven't done a good job sequencing. So you need to put your strongest photo first. What would keep us clicking on a gallery? If you're not bringing us in with that first photo, we're not going to keep clicking. So I would suggest finish strong, end strong, and figure out a sequence. So there's some good information here about sequencing if you guys have never done it before. This artist, Miss Hoyland, she is a master at sequencing, and this is her project Brothers. I think you guys should take a look at. But take a look at how she sequences her story. We start with the exterior, introducing ourselves to these characters. We get to see these characters. We see them in the interior. We see a little bit more color, a little bit more details about them. Then we get like a really nice portrait of these characters. We get more of their day to day. We see them in various things. We get detail shots, and then we see more detail shots. So detail shots, you never want to start your sequence with a detail shot. You want to introduce your character and then have detail shots sprinkled throughout. Now here's the kicker of her sequence. So it's about these two brothers who've lived together for a very long time. She sets us up in this sequence with, their interior, their bedroom, shows us facing them. Very next photo, we get this. So just via her sequencing, we get the power of knowing that someone has passed away just by sequencing. She's introduced the characters, she's given us like sprinkles of their daily lives, and then here to here, we know that something has changed. And then from here to here, we know that they've both passed away, okay? So this is a very powerful final image for her sequence. She did a really exceptional job with this sequence. So use that as a really powerful example of how, you can make or break your images based off of how you order them. Okay. Now I have here how to write an artist statement. This is due for not the midpoint check-in, but for the final day of class, you will need to include an artist/project statement. Some of you have probably never done that before, so there are tips on how you write it. Okay, so there's tips, basically how you structure it. And I've given you a project statement example. And then I've also given you an artist statement example, both by the same artist. So what I want from you guys is kind of like a project/artist statement, a hybrid. I want you to talk about your projects, and then I want you to talk about yourself as an artist. And go through those final student images from last semester. You can read their project statements, and you can see examples of what they turned in. Okay, so there's that. All right. Sequencing final exam. And then you have only 2 more Photoshop assignments left. Like I said, I removed the constructed image. I removed that assignment from you guys, and instead we're just going to do a couple Photoshop assignments. But this is basically what we would be doing if you had that actual constructed image assignment. These are examples of artists who do the constructed image. And then here is going to help you with your Photoshop assignment. So here, it's a very easy tutorial. I want you to take the images that I provided on your Photoshop assignment, import them into Lightroom, and then you can use Photoshop. So you'll need to import these into Lightroom. Opening them up in Photoshop is going to give you a headache. So if you import them into Lightroom via this tutorial, you can align all of the images together and you can help create this composite image. So it should help you out quite a bit. All right. These are just more slides. What is the constructed image? Looking at the constructed image, artists, historical context. Again, we did strip this from the rubric as far as what you guys would be doing, but I wanted you to see the lecture at least. And then student examples. So if I had you guys do this assignment, these are some examples of students who did the constructed image on their own. So this is kind of in lieu of, and this is kind of what you would have been doing had you had that assignment. So just some really nice examples of that. And then here you go. This is your first assignment, which is to recreate this image here. You're going to download these files right here. You have to be in U of M email. So if you have a personal account and you're trying to access it, it's going to ask you, you're not going to have the permission. So just make sure that you're logged into your U of M email when you try to access these. So download these images, import them into Lightroom, follow the directions in this tutorial, and then you should have a final image that looks kind of roughly like this. Obviously, everyone's going to look a little bit different, and I'm not expecting it to be this polished. I'm just expecting for you guys to be able to take multiple images and then mask them out so that they all fit into one scene. So, your final thing should look a little bit like this. You don't have to worry about the bird right there, just the 4 different versions of the girl. That's what I'm looking for. So you're going to upload a TIFF, label it, first name, last name, birdcage TIFF. Upload it to this portal, but it's probably going to be a really large file. So just upload it to your Google Drive. Send me the link in Blackboard as a text submission. This is worth more points than it's usually. It's 30 points. Okay. And then your final Photoshop is to create a double exposure, and it's super easy. Just combine this image and this image via this tutorial. Super simple, super straightforward. Of all the double exposure tutorials, I've found this one is the most straightforward. So this one's worth 35 points, and this actually should be flip-flop, but and that's it. So I hope this helps break down what we have left. You have 20 days to get these all sorted out. So we'll talk. If you guys have questions on anything, obviously set up meetings with me. If you want a one-on-one with any of your photos, I'd be more than happy to do that. But I just wanted to give you an overview just so you remember these are the things that are due. Just because we're not kind of having more check-ins, I just want to make sure that you guys know I'm kind of giving you guys this time to be more self-directed and be independent with your projects, but I do want to make sure that you know what is expected of you.